Breaking news now. Israel needs a responsible, foresighted leader to navigate difficult waters. While Israel's military dominance and other capabilities degrade, threats are rising dangerously. Israel must strengthen its national resilience and reinforce its ties and alliances to remain a secure, Jewish, democratic, and legitimate state with regional and global legitimacy. October 7th and the difficult months since have shown Israel's long-term strategic and operational adjustments. The reforms demand significant changes to Israel's security, leadership, and national priorities. While Israel's military dominance and other capabilities degrade, threats are rising dangerously. This threatens Israel's resilience, regional and global position, and deterrence, growing threats and challenges. Strategically, Iran is strengthening militarily and diplomatically and projecting dominance across the region. With Israel fighting in Gaza and the U.S. focused on China and Russia's war in Ukraine, Tehran may see a historic nuclear weapons breakout. With its advanced nuclear program and expanding missile and drone arsenal, Iran is directing a network of militias and proxies against Israel and directly engaged in the battle for the first time. Deepening connections with Moscow and Beijing give Tehran superpower political, military, and technology support. Meanwhile, American deterrence against Iran declines. Washington wants to avoid Middle Eastern wars and focus on China and East Asia due to the great power struggle and internal political turmoil. Israel faces unfriendly neighbors. As these states' economic, political, and security crises worsen, their anti-Israel sentiment grows. The climatic crisis may intensify these patterns in Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Iraq, Jordan, and Egypt. The Gulf states are favorable outliers and provide great chances. Israel alternates between paradigms as the Israeli-Palestinian conflict escalates. The annexation strategy emphasizes permanent Israeli territorial authority between the Jordan and the Mediterranean, whereas the security and civil separation approach emphasizes Israel's Jewish and democratic identity. The Palestinian conflict's escalation weakens Israel's security on all fronts and hinders Middle East and global strategic depth. It hurts Israel's international reputation, economy, science, equipping, and IDF freedom of action. Israel faces sanctions, boycotts, an arms embargo, and legal threats as it falls into international and regional isolation. The downgrade of Israel's credit rating, trade damage, decreased investments, and flight cancellations reflect these developments. The degradation of Israel's image and soft power hinders regional integration and global collaboration. Operationally, the Gaza conflict is a wake-up call about multi-front war, including simultaneous attacks on multiple fronts, interrupting trade and supply networks. Israel's foes may wage longer attrition wars with Iran's support. Iran and its regional proxies have resumed shooting missiles and drones into Israel in the shadow of the Gaza war. Increasing aerial and border threats negate Israel's qualitative and quantitative advantages. Israel lacks the military structure and weaponry to win quickly and decisively with devastating force. Breakdown of resilience. Despite growing obstacles, Israel is losing its ability to manage. Israel must identify with the U.S.-led Western camp to defend its political, economic, and security interests and maintain its technical leadership in the face of rising great power competition. Washington is weakening due to global conflict and internal turmoil. U.S. voices increasingly view Israel as a strategic burden rather than an advantage. Internal changes in both countries are undermining U.S.-Israel relations' values-based partnership, which is vital to their special relationship. Recent campus protests show that high anti-Semitism and young American estrangement from Israel are long-term strategic issues. Israel can deepen strategic connections with Europe and the Arab world. However, their success hinges on Palestinian negotiations and Washington's determination to continue aiding Arab nations while addressing its domestic issues. Internal differences in Israel increase its foreign issues. Political crises, governance gridlock, and state weakness in legislation, policy planning and implementation, and law plague the state. These patterns show vulnerability and reduce enemy deterrence. Israeli democracy destruction hurts Western friends. Most importantly, infighting weakens nations. Israel faces socioeconomic disparities, unequal burden sharing, declining science and innovation education, and lack of Haredi, ultra-Orthodox, labor market integration. These might destabilize Israel's economy in the future decades and undermine the people's army, welfare policy, and governance. Economic decline reduces defense resources, soft power, and international status. Different leadership, multifaceted response. Israelis need a multifaceted approach to this new reality. A responsible Israeli administration must repair social divisions, revive the economy and public sector, and strengthen democracy, rule of law, and judicial independence. First, the leadership must resolve the political crisis, restore the people's mandate through elections, re-establish government and state structures, and restore the rule of law. Next, the state must refocus its budget on defense. This includes protecting the civilian and military home front and essential infrastructure, rehabilitating and rebuilding intelligence services, and upgrading the Air Force and ground systems for decisive action on several fronts. Israel must strengthen its industrial military base and diversify its sources to withstand extended, regional conflicts. It needs more autonomy in manufacturing infrastructure, R&D, and marine and land supply networks. Under these new regional conditions, the IDF should enhance recruiting quotas to meet military demands and decrease burden-sharing gaps. Expand technology and science education to boost the workforce and state economy. However, self-reliance alone won't work. In the age of deglobalization and supply chain security, Israel must form alliances like all nations, including superpowers like the U.S. Add a political aspect to the security plan. Israeli-Palestinian diplomacy will help Israel develop strategic depth and a regional and international campaign to stop Iran's nuclearization. They will stabilize Israel's global reputation and prevent sanctions. Israel must maintain its special connection with the U.S. and consider a more binding security and technology collaboration. It's time to modify policy toward Russia and China and related concerns like Ukraine and Taiwan as their support for Iran, Hamas, and the extreme axis stabilizes. Israel should use its security, energy, and climate technologies to strengthen its strategic position, regional integration, and qualitative edge. Finally, Israel should strengthen strategic ties with non-U.S. democracies. Europe and Asian democracies like India, Japan, and South Korea. In conclusion, Israel needs a responsible and foresighted leader to navigate these tumultuous waters. That leadership must see the big picture and the importance of the moment and prioritize the nation. This is important but not sufficient to keep Israel secure, Jewish, democratic, a just regional power, technical and economic leader, in a state with regional and global credibility and soft power. Major General, Res. Amos Yadlin is president of Mind Israel, chair of the European Leadership Network, ELNET, Forum of Strategic Dialogue, and former IDF military intelligence chief. Strategic and policy planning expert Colonel, Res. Udi Eventhow works at Mind Israel.